きの光に誓って愛と正義の力で戦う星々が味方する因果を守護者たち
Blessed be all my people out there, and blessed be and welcome to all of my people who might just be finding me for the first time through this video. Today, we are going to be talking all about Saturn, karma, as well as a little bit of spiritual bypassing and a lot of what gets missed or misunderstood with regards to modern spiritual discourse around things like Saturn and karma and the wheel of samsara, and what we need to understand is really going on when we talk about these kinds of principles and what is going on, not only with astrology, but just when it comes to the idea of karma in general. And the reason we're making this video now is because Saturn is wrapping up his trip through Pisces. He's actually going to be leaving Pisces in the month of May. But I would also like to have something that's a little bit more evergreen, because we are also starting over a completely new cycle with Saturn entering Aries. And so what happens when Saturn leaves the last sign of the zodiac and goes into the first sign of the zodiac, we can actually see a lot of very important closures and a lot of important clearances and releases go on at the same time, especially when it comes to, well, karma, and also what is going on with karma. We can look at 2025, especially here in the early parts of 2025, between now and about June, July, August, as sort of the final determination of where we are going next with regards to a lot of our personal stories and personal lessons. And with Saturn, there are a lot of misunderstandings around what he is all about as far as a planet and a teacher. There's a lot of kind of, victim mentality kind of talk about Saturn out there being this horrible monster that just always brings up terrible things, or is this, asshole taskmaster or really mean, cruel teacher. But the truth of the matter is, in astrology, Saturn is kind of a hardcore planet, absolutely. But unless you are somebody who is just trying to use astrology or spirituality to get temporary advantages, you've got to understand that, well, Saturn is really just kind of more of that hard-ass teacher who wants the best for you, who actually wants to see you grow and actually help you to evolve, because that is the point of karma. Saturn's the planet of discipline, responsibility, evolution, yes, also limitation, but karma. And karma in and of itself is something that is also very much misunderstood in modern spiritual discourse, because a lot of people have taken to talking about karma almost as though it is a resource, or that it is a substance, when it is actually not. People talk about karma being like an energy or a currency or a balance. And the truth of the matter is no, that's not really what karma is. Karma is basically what more like a register, right? What happens to our soul, our spirit, our consciousness as we are going through lifetime after lifetime. And what karma is basically what is registered on our soul in terms of how our spirit and our energy and our space kind of functions in accordance with what is registered on it. So we can't look at karma as something that is just there to be cleared, almost like you're getting rid of some kind of unwanted energy or some kind of unwanted substance, because that's just not how karma really works. Karma is basically what we all experience as part of us growing and evolving into better people, better spirits, better souls, better expressions of consciousness. And so when we go through karma, whether it's a lifetime or whether it's something going on in the present day, whether it's related to a situation, a timeline, or a circumstance, we are going through a process of changing how or what has been kind of registered on our spirit because of what our karma is. And so that is what the process of experiencing and going through karma is. Now, yes, there are all kinds of things that accrue karma or have their energetic register change, right? A house can have karma. A town can have karma. A business can have karma. A story can have karma. A connection can have karma. But what is going on is not necessarily, again, a substance. It is basically what is registered. Karma is essentially a way of looking and seeing what something is made of. And so when we talk about going through karmic lessons and karmic debts and dealing with things where we are maybe clearing or changing our karma, it is all about us going through a shift of changing what is actually registered on our soul and how our spirit and our energy and our consciousness, contribute or experience or communicate or interact with the rest of the world and the universe around us. What Saturn does, coming back to Saturn, is that Saturn will, of course, be the teacher, will be the lesson giver that will tell us, okay, what is it exactly that we are learning in this situation, or what is the karma of this situation, and what tests or challenges are coming up because of it, and what we need to do in order to change our karma or to clear a karmic debt or clear a karmic challenge has nothing to do with healing this or cleansing that or doing this or doing that or making an exchange, right? We have to get away from a lot of the modern projections of karma being almost like a spiritual legal system where it's all about, contracts and ties and binds and owences and beholdences and things like that, right? Where karma is not what you can't project that kind of experience onto what karma is, because it doesn't work, because you don't really know what the karma of that situation is. Sometimes the karmic lesson that could be in a situation that a person is trying to maintain or hold on to is actually the opposite. The karmic lesson could be, no, you're not here to learn how to make this bad employment situation work for you. Your lesson is to know when to quit. And that can apply to all kinds of things, right? Stop trying to make this town work for you. Stop trying to hold on to the relationship that you shouldn't have started. Stop trying to make something happen that you're not supposed to make happen where you are or with who you're trying to make it happen with or whatever is going on. Because when we encounter challenges of what we could call negative or adverse karma, you're going to be seeing a lot of blocks and limitations that will only allow for so much good to show up in your life. And when you're encountering good or encouraging karma, well, that's when we start, doing things that actually are in accordance with learning the karmic lesson, right? Getting the passing grade. So it's kind of like, I'm going to invest more time and energy into maybe looking over here, spending my time over here, in building up on my connection with this person, or working towards this goal, or getting out of this situation and going over here instead. Changing things about me, what makes me tick, that actually are not good for me to keep trying to fortify or make work. That is how we work with karma, because the only way to clear a karmic debt for real, or to clear a personal karma for real, it's not about just paying off a debt like it's a balance or going through a cleansing or a clearing. It's actually about changing how your spirit is registered, how it's functioning, or what has registered on your spirit, effectively becoming a different person a little bit at a time as you grow out of what you've been or what you've been carrying on. But what actually concerns me is that I do see a lot going on in the modern spiritual community where people use the notion of karmic contracts and karmic debts, which they don't understand, and we'll talk about contracts in another video sometime, in order to fortify attachments they shouldn't be holding on to fortify obsessions and fixations, or to fortify existences that they should not be carrying on or trying to purport or push forward any further. Sometimes they will do that in terms of, oh, this person owes me a karmic debt, so I won't release the situation. This person and I created a contract or a commitment or something, or I really, really wanted one, and therefore, and it's kind of like, you're missing the point. Like, what if you had a lesson that was basically saying, you shouldn't have did this, or you shouldn't have been here, or this shouldn't have gone on for this long, you know? Because sometimes the debt is not paid by the person you think owes you. In fact, most of the time, it's not. So sticking around and handling it like an earthly legal system is completely missing the point and missing the lesson of what karma is, much less ever being able to actually do anything about karma. Because most of the time, the debts that are, quote, owed to us by others are actually paid off by the universe, but that's up to us to be able to release it and not try to just find another spiritual method to fortify and serve the attachment problem. You tend to see this a lot in situations where people, especially in the beginning of whatever it is they are learning their lesson about or learning to release, in the beginning, they kind of forced their way and got their way to an extent, but never got to see it all the way through. I see this all the time when it comes to business. I see this all the time when it comes to families and with money. And I often see it also with relationships, especially relationships that start kind of young, or one of those kind of situations where it's like, all right, the relationship or the work or the business or the money situation was really kind of more like wrangling up a bunch of conquests and attainments as quickly as possible. Eventually, what ends up happening, not only for the fact that it's like, all right, we just kind of like screwed up a bunch of timelines and there's already a bunch of karma about that, but also at the same time, there can be a challenge in that person to kind of learn, okay, hold on a sec, this isn't how these things work. And so there's this cognitive dissonance that kind of creates sort of a challenge with this person where their enemy in the situation is the karma, and they might actually be kind of in a space where they know that they can't carry something further anymore. And so what ends up happening is like they just kind of dig their heels in. And I've even given readings to people that just kind of shut down because they don't want to actually have that karma cleared because they're too busy trying to debate whether or not that karma exists. And yet, at the same time, if only they learned that the second they let go of what they're being told to let go of, what they're supposed to be changing about their course, about their way, about their methods, about what makes them tick, about what they're attached to, what they're holding on to, if they would just let that kind of stuff go, well, guess what? What they thought that was supposed to get them is going to show up. But they're getting corrected in their methods because maybe they were trying to do it in the wrong place or under the wrong conditions or with the wrong people or with the wrong path or with the wrong tools or whatever. If they can actually grow out of themselves, of the self that created that reality or created that karma, and let go the reality that they created with that self, that will be replaced with what will actually get them what they want. And a lot of people often just will not think that all the way through. And if only they would learn that, hey, hold on a second, the second I actually release what I did in the past and what I allowed in the past, or release my attachment to getting something out of what happened in my past, or all of the above, which is usually the case, it's usually all of the above, I can get what I thought I was looking for on a different road under better conditions in a way that's actually superior to what my machinations or what my situation was never going to give me anyway. And that can be very challenging to people, right? That's why a lot of people don't like Saturn, because Saturn forces us to kind of take the hard tests and to look at things that we would rather not look at, things that we wish could just be easier, and whatever we are struggling with or whatever we're encountering limitations or blocks with, there is always an answer, but we can't bypass it with just going and grabbing easy answers. And you can kind of see that in a lot of spaces, especially in the modern spiritual community, because the modern spiritual community is guilty of fortifying and encouraging and selling a lot of spiritual bypassing, and also artificially empowering a lot of spiritual bypassers. Now, a spiritual bypasser, or spiritual bypassing, I should say, is basically when a person decides that they are going to use spirituality, whatever kind of spirituality, whether it is mysticism, whether it's meditation, whether it is organized religion, or it is maybe New Age, or it's occult, or magic, or tarot, or astrology, or whatever, in order to seek easy answers, shortcuts, and escapes from things that they actually have to deal with or take seriously, whether it is about not taking responsibility for certain things, trying to fortify themselves in a bad situation, trying to avoid personal responsibility, maybe avoid feelings they don't want to feel, accepting things that they don't want to accept, or paying attention to where, even if they are truly spiritual, they can't fix everything with constantly going to their spiritual sources or their spiritual supplies just to get a look at the teacher's answer book. And I've seen that a million times, even with just tarot and astrology. A lot of people sometimes will they'll try to take all the answers out of the teacher's edition book, right? Remember back in school, the teacher's book will have all of the answers so they can grade tests more efficiently. And what often happens is people are not actually learning from the answer from the book. When it comes to tarot, astrology, or any kind of spirituality, magic, or mysticism, even if you're getting the answers to the questions, you still need to integrate the answers that you're getting. If you're getting told how something's going to work or not going to work, you don't let go of that answer when you go on to your next thing. Because I'll tell you right now, I've seen it happen a million times. Tarot and astrology, for instance, they'll get you to the moment where you are the one who has to take the test now, and you don't have your answer book. You don't have your supply. You have to come out of your bubble and you have to do something. You have to live your life, and so it's like, all right, here comes the interview. Here comes the sit down. Here comes the meeting. Here comes the date. Here comes the conversation. Here comes the test of your methods. And whether it's setting you up to succeed or fail is not the question. You are the one who decided you were going to succeed or fail, whether or not you were going to actually integrate the answers or not. Change with the answers and change with the wisdom that you were receiving that got you to the point where you were going to take the test. So it's kind of strange, when we look at things like karma and Saturn and just spirituality in general, because when we are looking at that just even in the present day, we can look at that as sort of as an interesting microcosm, an ironic microcosm of the wheel of samsara. And again, the wheel of samsara is basically the wheel of karma, right? What is basically turning in lifetimes as well as in storylines and situations that keeps something on repeat, whether they are lessons, whether they are circumstances, whether they are problems or challenges. And people who go through turns of the wheel over and over and over again when it comes to their karma often are people that are not learning lessons that they've had opportunities to learn, that they've had opportunities to change. And a lot of the times when it comes to things like spiritual bypassing, guess what? It's a perfect example of the wheel of samsara in real time. Okay, you get all the answers out of the teacher's edition book, and then you go onto the date, or you go into the job interview, or you go out for promotion, or you go out and have that conversation, or you go and get ready to do this thing, and everything falls apart. Why? Have you integrated any of the answers? Have you taken on any of the answers? And you have to ask yourself, okay, did this person integrate any of the answers, or are they the same person that they were when they started employing and exploring this stuff in the first place? It's not about conversion. It's not about religiosity. It's not about people becoming more faithful in this or faithful in that. I'm not here to try to convert people into anything. Hell, if anything, I try to chase people away from this stuff because I don't think there are a lot of people out there that are psychologically prepared. I'm kind of more like the mental health gatekeeper when it comes to spirituality. I don't think a lot of people who are being held up should be up where they are because I don't think they're healthy. I see a lot of people out there in the spiritual community, and I'm kind of like, I mean, you're a heartbeat away from being Kanye, and yet at the same time, everyone wants to see the toxic, mentally unstable person win, so they lift you up so they can feel like they can do something good or accomplish something without changing anything about themselves. And the wheel of samsara will turn for you again. The thing is, you've got to learn your lessons. We've all got to learn our lessons. And astrology can be very helpful in teaching us what our lessons are, and so can tarot, and so can any kind of spirituality. If you're in a situation where you are kind of locked up, right, and you kind of realize like nothing is moving for me, nothing is changing for me, I've stopped growing in terms of maybe my earning power, or my social life has kind of stopped, or my story just seems to be kind of going in circles. I've ended up in a holding pattern. I kind of seem to be in sort of on pause. Pay attention to where you're actually getting pushed to do something different, right? Where you may actually be a little bit behind on something that you need to be focusing on, or something that you need to be clearing or learning or graduating from, right? I call this the chain reaction process when it comes to spirituality, because I know lots of people who's like, why can't I manifest this anymore? Why aren't my spells working anymore? Why aren't this? Okay, hold on a second. You're still you from a previous period in your life trying to hold on to or make or do something a certain way. And you need to change from that way. Sometimes our lessons are not what we think they are. It's not about coming in here to just sharpen your skills at being a better you from the past. And astrology can show us all kinds of things about our lessons and our karma, right? Saturn is a big indicator. Usually in astrology, Saturn can kind of tell us where we will have a great deal of difficulty because of maybe what we are bringing in from not necessarily just a past life, but also where we are going to be learning some of our toughest lessons because of maybe the circumstances we came into this life with, whether that is family of origin, environment, or space. But we also have to pay close attention to, okay, while those might be challenges, I'm also being challenged to grow out of this as well, right? Saturn in your natal chart will tell you what you're here to kind of learn to grow out of and change into something else, something that's going to be better for you. Our North Node in astrology can also tell us a great deal about what some of our primary lessons in karma, or actually the most primary lesson in karma is. For instance, a person who has the North Node in their 7th house, right? It's all about partnerships and close one-on-one connections. A person with the North Node in the 7th house probably, has a lot of walls if they're not working on it. Of course, we work through our astrology. We don't just treat it like it's there and it's stuck and that's just me. Oh, I've got this here. More spiritual bypassers spin the wheel of samsara, for them. The North Node might tell us about this person's approach to relationships and what they need to learn. Now, a North Node in the 7th house person, for instance, is going to be somebody who probably has a lot of walls. This is probably somebody who is coming into this life with a lot of emotional walls and barriers. Why do they have a lot of walls and barriers? That's going to be determined by the rest of their chart. But they're pretty fortressed up, right? They are flint, essentially, with the North Node in the 7th house. So a big part of their karma is to actually let somebody see their heart, or their karmic lessons is to be able to connect with somebody in a way where they can actually show their heart, let somebody see their heart. And that can be a very strong karmic lesson for some people. Other people might have different stories. A person who, say, has the North Node in their 2nd house could be in a space where it's like, hey, you are learning how to cultivate your own security, do things your own way, and also, cultivate and live by your own rules and your own value system, not what you came into this world with, and not anything that was ever maybe imposed upon you by others, right? Learning to live and go your own way, whether this has to do with, maybe what you were brought up with, or things that you took on, or if you ended up in a situation where it's almost like, a family's principles or values, or a partner's principles or values, or whatever took over your life. Your karma is to kind of learn to get out of that. A person who has their North Node in the, 10th house or the 4th house might be dealing with a lot of, hey, we're here to clear some family curses and make a different mark on the world. That can be a big part of the story, but we don't treat these things as, well, how do I have a comfortable, more convenient life without changing? You can never do that with astrology. You can never do that with tarot. Nothing ever lasts. I've seen a lot of people out there, sometimes come for readings, and I worry about, like, okay, what are you doing with this information? Because some people come back over and over again. It's like, okay, you're trying to make a road you shouldn't have come down, however old that road is. It could be 5 years old, it could be 10 years old, it could be 20 years old. You're trying to make a road that you shouldn't have come down, that you shouldn't stay on work. And you're expecting tarot and astrology to somehow fortify it and make it work. And I can tell you right now, all of these things will eventually fail you because you're not learning. And eventually, what is registered on your spirit, what is registered in how your energy works, will betray you. It's not that tarot has betrayed you. It's not that astrology has betrayed you. It's not that magic has betrayed you. It's that you are betraying the point, and you are the one who is not learning and not growing. Karma is not an energy to be cleansed or cleared or purified. Karma is not a resource to be passed back and forth. If part of your karma is maybe undoing or reversing something that got started or something you did, that will be determined at the time. But sometimes, paying a debt just has to do with authentically changing from what made you tick before and letting go of the things that were created by you when you were that person. And sometimes that can be very big. Sometimes that can be, something that is very small. It could be a big storyline, a big path, or a big era, or it could be an instance on a situation to situation basis. That is how karma works, both in big and small terms, whether it's over a lifetime or it's over a month, or it's over a year, or it's over a decade or two. It doesn't matter. But we need to understand how karma works and stop trying to defeat the system, so to speak, if we're going to work with it, because it will eventually always have its way. And when we do actually do the work, when we do actually change, when we do actually grow, when we do integrate our lessons, and even if we are consulting tarot, it's okay to consult tarot and astrology for what's going to happen next, or what can I do to fix this, or what should I do? What's my best, what's my best course of action here? That's the point of these tools. But if we don't integrate the answers, if we just go, okay, thanks, bye, I'll see you later when I need another easy answer, because I'm still the same person I was when I came to you in the first place. If we don't integrate the answers, not having to go through the study doesn't mean you're off the hook for learning the answers because you got an easy answer. That is also a big part of karma. That is also a big part of astrology, and that is also a big part of Saturn. And when we don't do that, we always end up going through the same thing over and over and over again. The wheel of karma, the wheel of samsara will turn. And I think that is something that is missed a lot in modern discourse. And I think that that's why a lot of people are often in situations that should be over, that are kind of more like The Walking Dead. The Walking Dead career, The Walking Dead relationship, The Walking Dead living situation, The Walking Dead this, because they're looking for more tools and more supply to elongate or continue something that they should be releasing and letting go. And unfortunately, in a lot of situations now, we also have people that they have the nerve to try to create a movement out of the problems they should be learning how to actually fix and change about themselves. And now there is, a bigger issue, maybe that's for another video, where we see the wheel of karma will turn once again. Be careful about how you look at things like karma and Saturn and karmic contracts and all of that. Because there are payoffs, good payoffs, for simply learning your lesson and doing things right. There is no universal, this is the right thing to do, this is what's not. If you want an organized religion, you're in the wrong place. None of this is organized religion. All of this is about personal accountability and your relationship with your spirit and your soul, and whoever and whatever else is organically a part of the connection of that soul and that soul experience. We just have to remember that we're dealing with things that do require us to keep up with the lessons and the answers and the teachings that we're getting. Look at the world, look at the country, look at everything. It's like, all right, a lot of vicious cycles going over and over and over again, because a lot of people don't want to think about learning their lessons. They just want to have a cushier existence. That will always eventually fail us, whether it's happening instantaneously, whether it happens over years or over decades. I've seen people realize things that they were trying to force happen as part of huge campaigns, you know, in terms of their profession, their career, their relationship, whatever. And then they always find out, oh crap, I did it all the wrong way, in the wrong space, with the wrong people, in the wrong whatever. And it really bites them. Learning the lesson and accepting the lesson and letting go of attachment to our ego's need to feel affirmed and validated in every goddamn little thing can help actually not only alleviate the pain of that realization, but also clear and also remove and replace that situation with something that will actually be true. But if you can't do that, or don't do that, or insist on spiritually bypassing that experience, the wheel of samsara will turn for you again. Saturn will make it so. It's just something to think about. I think that we all need to have a little bit of a serious, come back to sense around karma and all of this, because there's so much going on right now where a lot of people are just simply choosing to bypass so much that they don't even remember that there is a bigger picture, but there is. So that's just something I wanted to put out there for you guys. You know, remember, Saturn is not a bad planet. Karma doesn't have to be a bad experience, but we do need to be able to grow and learn with the answers that we are acquiring. Just because you get the answer straight out of the teacher's book and you didn't have to do the studying yourself doesn't mean you're not responsible for integrating the answers. So you guys take care. I'm going to format this video and get this all up and ready for you all. And I look forward to hearing your questions or seeing some of your comments in the down bar below. Have a good one.